Let's talk about razor safety. So razor blades are a nice tool for cutting out something without having to use scissors, which can be a little problematic in some instances. So blades should be covered and they should be stored when you're not using it in something. So I use this so that we can store our blades capped in this block of wood, and that way they don't roll away. You could also use a folded piece of paper, which would also work. If we leave it on the table, it's possible it could roll off and roll into your lap, possibly hit an artery, and could do some real damage. These are as sharp as medical instruments are. So it's really important that we treat them with respect and we don't play games with them. If you are seen playing with the razor, it will be taken from you and we will need to write up an incident report. Razors should never leave the classroom, otherwise it's considered a weapon in a public school system, and then there may be some legal implications to that. So we treat them with respect, and please follow these directions. So when we cut with a razor, you want to hold it firmly, and you want to make sure that the blade is straight up and down to the paper. And when you cut, you actually want to cut towards your elbow. I'm not moving my wrist to cut. You'll just end up getting lots of like scratches on the paper. I'm going to actually put it in and I'm going to pull with the elbow, moving away in the direction that I want to cut. So I'm cutting essentially towards my shoulder in that direction. And I'm pressing fairly firmly. It almost feels like the blade is going through ice. Underneath, I have a cutting board, and you need to have something underneath your paper whenever you cut, otherwise you'll be scratching up your table. Now, some people can use cardboard. I have cutting boards available for my students. So when I come to an end and I need to turn, I leave my blade in the paper and I actually turn the paper, and then I can continue cutting in the direction of my shoulder. Now, if I seem to run out of room, then I can just move my paper back over and give myself some additional space. Now, when I'm cutting circles, I do move the paper quite a bit to do these curves. It is always better to move in the direction of my shoulder. That's where you're going to have the most strength. And you can see my supporting hand is off to the side, and I keep my thumb tucked in so I don't accidentally cut myself. And I can continue around these compound curves. And again, pressing and pulling towards my shoulder to cut these out. When you're done, you should be able to lift out the parts that you cut fairly easily. If they stick, like this little corner did, you can turn the paper over and then find the little part where it's stuck and then just saw through that. We will have some scissors nearby, which could also be helpful as you're cutting. Now, when the blade is in use, if you find that your paper is tearing, instead of cutting, look to the very tip of the blade. If the blade tip is kind of flat, it might be that the blade is actually broken. It is much safer to cut with a sharp blade than a dull blade. With a dull blade, you have to press very, very hard to make it cut, but with a sharp blade, you don't have to press as much. When you are done, you want to go ahead and cap it and store it somewhere so it doesn't roll away. If you happen to get a cut on a finger, just hold the cut closed, walk to the sink, rinse it out for a second, and then grab a paper towel, put it back over, and squeeze. If it's just a tiny little nick, we can give you a Band-Aid, but if it looks like it's something that might potentially be serious, we need to send you to the nurse and write an incident report. If you are following the directions in this video, you should not have a problem. If you do have a cut, don't scream and run around and spread blood everywhere. What you need to do is cover it and go to the sink and rinse it out and let the teacher know immediately that there's a problem, and we will help you. If you have any questions about what's been presented in this video, please raise your hand now and ask. Thank you.